Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to the Email Slicer project, where we're going to learn all about slicing up strings. Now, slicing is a very useful thing that Python allows us to do, and its simplicity really sets Python apart from other programming languages. Now, in this project, we're going to create an email slicer that will ask someone for their email address, and it will tell them what their username is and tell them who their email account is held with, or their domain name, which, in a very basic way anyway. So, before all of that, in this lecture, I'm going to explain to you what slices are, and I'm sure you'll agree by the end of it that they're super awesome. And by the end of the lecture, you'll know how to chop strings up to use just the information you want. So let's get into it. So what is a slice? Well, a slice, as you might imagine, is just a small piece of something larger. Now, for this to make any sense, we need to take a fresh look at what strings actually are. A string is basically a bunch of characters and letters that are strung together. So let's say if I have the string A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so here we have a bunch of letters and numbers that are strung together to make a string. Now, in Python, strings are an iterable data type. Now, what the hell does that mean? Well, when something is iterable, it means you can go step by step along it until you get to the end. Iterable means you can go step by step along it until you get to the end. Now, each of these steps is called an element. So there would be one step, there's another step, there's another step, there's another step, and each of those are elements of the string. Now, each element also has a number that refers to its position. So this number is called an index, and by using the index, you can get to the element. So by using the index, you get to the element. Now, these index numbers start at 0. That means the first element is index 0, the second element is index 1, the third element is index 2, this would be index 3, this would be index 4, index 5, and so on. So the best way to show you this is if we had an example, a rather long word. So let's just say we have word equals supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Okay, so let's just save that like that. Now, if you've ever watched Mary Poppins, then that word will make sense. If not, go ahead and watch Mary Poppins. Now, if we just want the first letter of this, the letter S, then we just have to take the first index, or index 0. Probably the best way to say it is the 0th index of the string. So we do that by typing word, which is the name of the variable, then opening up a pair of square brackets. And inside here, we type the number of the index that we want. So we want the 0th index, so we type 0. And that's going to give us S. Now, even though that I've just technically sliced out the letter S, the original data is still unchanged. So as you can see, I sliced out S, but it's still there in the original variable. And that's because strings are immutable, meaning they cannot be changed. So if you wanted to say it correctly, you could say that strings are an immutable, iterable data type, because they can't be changed and you can iterate over each element. So as a micro challenge for you, I want you to see whether you can just go ahead and pull out the letter P. Okay, so use just a mini slice to take out this letter P here from the string. So how'd you get on? The way that I do it, okay, is we know that this is the 0th index, this is the first index, and this is the second index, right? So what we do is type a word of 2, and that's going to give us the letter P. So what if we wanted to take more than one letter? Well, for this, we use a slice. Okay, these were just kind of picking out little elements here and there, but if we want to take a proper slice from the variable, then this is how we do it. So the format of a slice is like this. So you type a variable name, okay, then you open some square brackets, you put the index you want to start at, the index you want to go up to, and the step in between each element you want to select. So you have a variable name, in our case this would be word. And let's say we wanted to take we just wanted to take the word super, okay? Well, we want to start from index 0, because that's the letter S. Now, the tricky part comes when you have end here. So we want R, right? We want R to be in our thing. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is index 4. But the way that end works is it is you put in the index of where you want to go up to. Okay, so if we wanted to go up to, if we wanted R, we'd have to go up to the letter C, right? But not including it. So to take this word, we'd have to go up to here. Since here, this letter C has index of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'd put in there 5. And we want every letter, so we'd put 1 as the step. So let's watch that now. We see we get out the word super. We started at index 0 and included that one, and we went up to, but not including, the letter C. So that the letter C was index 5, so we put that there. We didn't want that, we just wanted to go up to it, and we wanted to go in one element every time. So if I just to show you what the step does, if I put 2 here, you see we get SPR, because this goes 0, go up 2, gets P, go up 2, get R. Okay, but that's what the step's doing. But 1 was taking every single one. So as a micro challenge for you then, I want you to go ahead and create a slice that will take out the word Cali here. It'll take that out and print that to the screen. So go ahead, pause the video now, and try to use a slice to take out the word Cali from Word. So how'd you get on? Did you manage it? Well, here's the way that I'd have gone about it. I would know that the letter C is at index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'd put that as the start. And I'd want to go up to the letter F. And the letter F is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'd put 9 in there. And I want every one, so I'd put a step as 1. And you see, we get Cali out. So if you got that, then absolutely fantastic. You're really getting ahead with string slices. Now, there are some shortcuts to using strings, which are super useful. So let's say we wanted to just take from the letter C all the way to the end. For that, all we'd have to do is type a word. Then the start was going to be 5, because that's where C is, right? And C is index 5. Then just type a colon. And Python is now going to automatically assume that I want from 5 all the way to the end, which is what we see here. Pretty handy, right? So here's another shortcut. What if I wanted to go from Cali, again, from the letter C, all the way to the end, but in steps of 2? Well, for that, I just type a word, move my mouse out of the way, word 5, and then just type another colon and 2. So you can see that we've left the end blank here, because it goes start, end, step, right? We've left end blank. We didn't tell it where to end, so it's going to assume that to go all the way to the end, but in steps of 2. And we're going to see that it does that. It goes C, then L, then F, then A. C, then L, then F, then A. I and T, and all the way up until the end. So that's a really useful trick as well. So what if we wanted everything up to index 7, let's say? So this is index 5, 6, and 7. So everything up until the L, but not including it. So for that, we would type word, leave the start blank, and type 7, just like that. And that is going to give us everything up to index 7. So since index 7 is the L, we're going to go up to L, but not include it. Okay, so that's something you've got to be aware of when you're using slices. It's always up to, but not including. If we wanted the L, we'd have to do up to 8, which is the one after the L. All right, so that would be that to get us the L. So if we go up a few lines, you saw that we typed 0 to 5 in steps of 1 to get super, right? And that will work fine. But now with our shortcuts, all we've got to do is type word, colon 5. Like that, because it's going to assume you want to start here at 0, and it's going to assume you want steps of 1. So if I just do that, we're going to get super straight away. So you can see just how much easier that is. Now this is super useful. You can actually reverse a string, well the steps can actually be negative, right? And we can use this to reverse a string. So if I did word, and I just did colon, colon, -1, basically what that's going to say is go from the end to the start in steps of -1. And if I do that, we're going to see that we've actually just reversed the whole string in just one line of code. Now, doing that in any other programming languages is a monster, really. So being able to do that in such a simple way is a really powerful trick. So you now understand the basics of how to take slices, right? We know that strings are basically an iterable data type, which means they're made up of little elements. And each of these little elements has an index that starts from 0 that you can use to access that element. And when you take a slice, you put the starting element here, the starting index, sorry, then the where you want to go up to, and then the step. And we also know a few shortcuts here and there. But we have a main issue in that the way that I've been doing it so far is error prone. I'm kind of counting up the index from the beginning, and that can be time consuming and that can make errors, right? All it takes is for me to count one number wrong and I've messed the whole thing up. So what I'm going to show you in the next video is how to pretty much automate this process, right? Using Python's index function, which is a massively powerful trick when using strings. So I will show you that in the next video in the interest of time, so I'll see you there. Hello there, you beautiful people. So this is just another quick video about some useful tricks you can do when you're dealing with slices. The first thing I want to show you is you don't have to count from the very beginning in order to get up to where you want to go. So you can actually count from this end. So let's say I wanted U. Okay, I could count up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up until U, right? Or I could do word and count back from the other end. So this value here is actually index -1. So U would be index -2, okay? And there you see we get U. Let's say if we wanted this C, that would be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Word -5 should give us C, and it does. So this is a nice shortcut. You don't have to count all the way from this end. You can count from this end, remembering that the very end value is -1. So if you just want the very end value, you just type -1, and it's going to give us S at the end. But this doesn't solve the actual issue, which is that we're still counting, right, in our head as a human being, which can make mistakes. What we want to do is to leverage the power of the computer to do all the counting for us. And for that, we're going to use the index function. So let's say, for example, I wanted to just take the word Cali out. What I could do is I could type a word, and I want where Cali starts. So I could type in here word.index of Cali, okay? Because where Cali starts, let me just show you actually, let me just make it a bit simpler. Word.index of Cali is going to give us 5 because Cali starts at index 5, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So and we want to go all the way up to Fragi, right? So Fragi starts at index word.index Fragi is going to give us 9. So what I could do is type word, then the first, where I want to start at the index of where Cali starts, and I want to go up to where Fragi starts in steps of 1 by default, and it's going to give me out Cali because it's going to go from where Cali starts to where Fragi starts, and that is going to pull that out. So using indexes, using the index function is a massive shortcut, right? I mean, it makes life so much easier to do it that way. Let's say if we wanted to take out the word docious. Okay, let's say we want to take this out. All we've got to do is do word of word.index docious, which is where it starts, right? And I want to go from there to the end. Just put a colon. It's going to assume I want to go up to the end and pull it out, which is fantastic. If I wanted to get out fragilistic, right? So I just do word of word.index fragilistic all the way up to where, well, I mean, to be honest with you, I could just do a exp, right? Word.index exp fragilistic, because I could just write expialidocious, or I could just write exp. Now, one thing you do have to bear in mind is that index only returns the first instance of that phrase that you're searching for. So if I wanted to get fragilistic again, okay, let's say I went like this, and I wanted to go up to word.index of E, I don't think that will work. It won't work, right? It'll just give us an empty string. And the reason is because the index of E, it finds the first E, which is over here, not this one. So if you wanted this one, you need to say where, something longer starts, exp or expialidocious, or something that lets Python know that you definitely want this one, rather than the first E, which is what causes this error here. So that's something to bear in mind. Awesome, so that's pretty much all there is to slicing, to be fair. Pretty easy, right? So let's just have a quick recap of what we've learned in the past 2 videos, just to make sure we've got everything down before we head into the slicer project. So we learned that strings are an iterable, immutable data type. And the fact that they are iterable means that you can access individual elements from the string. Each element is given its own index, and these start from the number 0. And you use that index to access the element. You also learned how to take slices from a string and how to take individual elements out. You also learned a shortcut for using the index by using the index function that can take a lot of the hard work of doing this out for us. Overall, you've got a pretty good understanding of what slices are and how to create them by now. So up next, we've got a quick quiz and coding challenge to check that you've fully understood what slices are. And after that, we're going to build our email slicer. So good luck in the quiz and the coding challenge, which you're going to need to get some practice and make sure you got it down. And then I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people, and in this lecture we're going to create the email slicer, so I hope you're excited. This project is going to tie together everything we've learned about strings in this section, such as gathering user input, slicing, string formatting, and even the occasional string method. So basically how this is going to work is that we're going to ask the user for their email address using the input function. After that, we're going to slice the email address for the username and the email domain name, and the username is what is before the @ symbol and the domain name is what's after the @ symbol, in case you're wondering. So we're going to use string formatting to output the user a message that tells them their username and their domain name. Pretty cool, right? So after this lecture, you're going to understand how each of the different pieces regarding strings fits together, and you're also going to have built another cool Python program to prove it. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is create another script. So let's go File, New File, save this on the desktop in the Python Bible, and I'm going to call this slicer.py. And when I maximize this, we're all good to go. So I'm going to use Python comments to help give us a bit of an outline for what we're going to do in the project. The first thing we're going to do is to get the user's email address. So get user email address. Then we're going to slice out the username. Slice out username. We're going to slice out the domain name, slice domain name. We're going to format some kind of output message, so format message, and then we're going to display the output message. So display output message. Awesome, that's easy enough, right? Alright, so now that we've planned out our project, let's follow the checklist and get the user's email address. Now for this, as you'll recall, to get a input from a user, we need to use the input function. So we're going to call whatever they input a variable called email, and use the input function by asking them a question: what is your email address? Just like that. I'm also just going to capitalize it to make sure it looks a bit nicer. Now, the user may very well type in their email address and then accidentally press a space or something like that, which we don't want inside of our input. So whatever the user inputs, we're going to strip away all of the blank spaces from it using the strip string method. So voila, there we are. There's the first step of the project done. So as step number 2, we need to slice out the username. Now the username is everything up to the @ symbol. So if they're, for example, if their email was like, Bob Doe at thingy.com, then their username would be Bob Doe, and the domain name would be thingy.com. Okay, so we just want the username at the minute, which is everything up until the @ symbol. So I want you to create a variable called user, and using the index function and a slice, I want you to take a slice of the email variable, and which corresponds to their email address. It could be any email address. So I want you to use the index function to take a slice up until the @ symbol and save that in the variable called user. So you know the drill. Pause the video now and come back when you're done with that to see how you did. So how'd you get on? This is the way that I'd have gone about doing it. Well, let me just delete this. I would have created a variable called user and assigned it the value of a slice from email, starting at the beginning up until the index of the @ symbol. Okay, so everything up to the @ symbol is going to be saved in the user variable. Nice and easy. All right, so now we need to get the domain name, which is everything after the @ symbol. So as another micro challenge, I want you to use slices again to store in a variable called domain everything after the @ symbol in the email variable. So go ahead now and pause the video and give that a go. Try to get everything after the @ symbol, not including the @ symbol, bear in mind, everything after the @ symbol all the way until the end of the string, and then come back to see how you did. How'd it go? Did you get on all right? It was a bit tricky, right? So the way that I'd have done it is I'd have created the variable called domain, and I'd have set that equal to a slice from email, but we want to take everything after the @ symbol, right? So the way that I do that is I take the index of the @ symbol, like that, but we don't want to start there, because if we start there, then what's going to happen is it's going to include the @ symbol. So I want to take from that index plus 1. I want to go to the one after it. Then just use a colon to go all the way up until the end of the string. So this is the way that I'd have done it. Our start is the index of the @ symbol plus 1, so it's 1 after it. So if the index was 5, then this would give us 6, which is 1 after, and then we'd use the colon to give us a shortcut to go all the way until the end of the string. And that's going to get us their domain name. All right, so the next step is to create the output message. And the output message is going to look something like this. I'm going to have output equals your username is blank and your domain name is blank. Now, I want you to, at the end of this string here, to use the format function to put in the first place the username, and in the second place the domain name, which we've taken out from here. So as a micro challenge, use the format function to put the username in here, the domain name in here, then come back to see how you did. So hopefully that went well for you. This is the way that I'd have done it. I'd have just typed .format, because format is again a string method, and I'm going to put in the first thing user, because that's what holds our username. Then I'm going to put a comma, and after that I'm going to put domain, because domain holds our domain name. And that should be that. So now all we've got to do is print out the output message, right? So print output. Now when I save and run that, let's just see how this works. Let's okay, so what's your email address? Let's say we have super awesome name at galacticmail.com, right? This doesn't exist, by the way, and if it does and you're watching this, then you're the unluckiest person alive. But anyway, if I do that, it's going to say your username is super awesome name and your domain name is galacticmail.com. Way! So there we are. We've managed to slice up an email address into its username and its domain name using Python slices. Well done. I mean, you should probably give yourself a proper pat on the back if you followed through this and understood everything. And you should feel now that you have Python strings down pat. You have Python strings under your belt and you're a master of them. So well done. Now, we've covered a lot in this section of the course, and as usual, I'm just going to have a quick recap in the next video of what we've learned to prime you for the next exciting section of the course on logic. So congratulations once again on following through this project and being able to create an email slicer. I'll see you in the next video for a recap, and then we'll move on to learn all about logic. So I'll see you in the next video.